Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 39 in the book of Ephesians. Very interesting passage today. It's about children and parents. I'm going to title this Children's One Commandment. And subtitle would be something like Bending a Child's Will Without Breaking It. Listen in, this is from Ephesians chapter 6. The Lord did not forget children when he dropped the Ten Commandments onto the earth. Listen here, this is Ephesians chapter 6, verse 1. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with a promise, that it may go well with you and that you may live long in the land. So that's from Exodus chapter 20. And then he adds, Father, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and the instruction of the Lord. So this is in the context of a passage basically about submission and yielding and obeying. And it talks about that it's going to be necessary in the church, and it's going to be necessary within marriage, and it's going to be necessary of wives to husbands. It's going to be necessary in workers. Elsewhere in 1 Peter, it talks about it's going to be necessary in relationship to civil government. So it's a critical element of life is to learn this. And of course, you should learn it at home first. So the first relationship that we are put under, which is children to parents, sets us up well to understand this obedience ingredient that we're going to be asked in all these other aspects of our lives. And it's a hard lesson. It can be abused from the child's standpoint or disobeyed. Children can be disrespectful and be rebellious and have a hard heart. And it's the parent's job to help them with that, why their hearts are still soft enough to be molded. So isn't it fun that the Lord did not forget when the Ten Commandments came down from Mount Sinai, from the Lord himself, written with the finger of God, that children were a part of that. So when Moses comes down with the Ten Commandments on the two tablets, the Lord says to children is, hey, there's something here for you. There's something here for you right now. I don't care whether you're 2-year-old or you're 15 years old or you're 7-year-old. There's something here for you. So even 2-year-olds were part of the Ten Commandments. Think about that. It's a privilege. If you are a grandparent or you're a parent, imagine that you're standing in this holy, God-given role to help children as they learn this most critical element. So God is thinking of the third graders, and we probably should be too. God's eye is upon the middle schooler, and ours should be too. So the spiritual life and the wrestlings with the spiritual life, they don't start when you're on your 18th birthday, your 25th birthday, or your 21st birthday, whenever. The principle, in fact, the main tool that you have to get a handle on starts when you're 2 years old, or maybe even 1.5, and goes all the way through childhood. And guess what, parents? You can help with this. So if you are pre-taught as a child this concept of obedient and submission and listening and having a hard bunch of ways you can say this, placing yourself under. If you get this right, it's going to go well with you. How? In your work life, in your in the authorities of civil government. It'll go well with you in your spouse relationship. And most importantly, it'll go well with your relationship with God. So there's a promise here that it may go well with you, that you're not going to throw yourselves on the rocks in all these areas of life, that you're not going to have a shipwreck and end up in jail and, under IRS investigation and in the divorce court. There's consequences in the civil world and the work world and the relationship world for doing this wrong. So the point is, let's get this right as, when the time is right, which is as children. And of interest, the verse 4 is, fathers, don't provoke your children to anger, that this is going to require a gentle hand sometimes, and maybe sometimes a firm hand, a discerning hand, certain of all, because you're bending a child's will without breaking it. And the being a child is no picnic. You're in a world you don't understand with people you don't know, frequently in situations that are stressful. Everybody's asking you to do something. So the world of a child has some difficulty. And he's given children free will, and the expression of it can be a little rough. And if you don't know that, go to a nursery and watch 3-year-olds fight over some shiny toy, because those children essentially are wrestling with free will and violence and anger and kindness and obedience and submission to their parents and submission to the people that the parents have put in charge. It's a very delicate situation. So we should be joining and encouraging parents as they're teaching their children to obey their parents. We're teaching children to obey their parents, and again, in the Lord. Bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. This is going to be a critical element for when they do decide for or against the Lord. So start life with the view of looking towards the Lord. Why is that? Well, because husbands, it says, love your wives as Christ loved the church. Wives, submit to your husbands as to the Lord. Bondservants, as you would to Christ. 1 Peter 2:13, be subject for the Lord's sake to every human institution. So this is not a principle that goes away. You're going to need it for the rest of your life, in your work life, personal life, ministry life. And of interest, if you don't, I think if you grow up without a father, I think this might be one of the ingredients that is frequently, not well taught. So the number one job of children is to obey your parents as they teach you to obey them, so that in all the critical parts of relating to the world, romance, civil authorities, church life, all of them, that they already have the main tool that they're going to need, the main ingredient that's difficult for them. They already possess it. So this is a divinely appointed job. And if you're involved in this, if you're a parent, my hat is off to you. And if you're a child, this is the critical element that children learn and that the parents give their children. So I bless you as you go today, as you learn obedience. Children, obey your parents in the Lord. Thanks for listening.